this off and see what's going to happen as we go into this best of 5. In the top right-hand side. In the playoffs, he actually made it all the way. He was the European champion of the TLMC tournament last time around. Lost to Cure then in the grand finals. Let's see what he does this time. It's uThermal. Funny enough, this is also a rematch from a TLMC finals. Which one? Fantastic question. I believe it was number 3. We did an all-European event, I believe. Just because of the way that the timings worked out for the tournament. And we did an all-EU event. And I believe it was like a stomp of the finals. I think it was like 5-0 or something. And uThermal, I think, just completely stopped. I think he went like... I can't remember what the bracket was, but I think he went like 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 5-0. It must have been like 4-0, 5-0 or something. uThermal just destroyed that tournament. That was back when maps such as King's Cove and New Repugnancy, I believe, were in the potential list. You guys remember some of those beautiful maps. So that was Elazer in the finals back then. That was been like, what, 4 years ago? I guess not 4, I guess 3 years ago now. So yeah, that's a little bit of TLMC WardiTV tournament info for you guys. A little bit of trivia just to get us through the early game here on Aqueducts. Aqueducts, a map which I think we've all agreed is a pretty nice map. I still have my reservations about just how easy it is to defend some of these bases. It really feels like this is the only point of contention for like the first 10 to 15 minutes. And beyond this, it's like, well, okay, that's not true, right? You can absolutely swing around the side and like go in from this side or this side. But most of the contention seems to be around here. Or the game goes later in the game and then we see contention like a bit more in the middle of the map and stuff, so... That's the only thing. I actually really like Aqueducts. I'm just a little bit cautious about maybe how easy it is to take those bases, but I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It might just make for quite a nice little macro map. It definitely has a unique style to it, you know? It's definitely kind of macro in a way that's just a little bit different to usual, you know? It's not quite the norm. It's, like I said, it's a little bit different, so I am liking it. Maybe as a caster, I'm a bit biased, but personally, I don't like the maps where people just get to take 4 bases and do nothing. I can appreciate why having a map like that in a best of 7 map pool is good. You know, to create a bit of variety and create a game that naturally will go longer. The only problem I have with that is, like, I feel like that's great in, like, a 7 map pool. My problem with it is when that map becomes, like, super popular in one matchup, and so it never gets vetoed, and then you see it as map 1 of every best of 3. And at map 1 of every best of 3 is like 20 minutes because it's that map where nobody can kill each other for 20 minutes. You know what I mean? So yeah. That's, maybe that's like a little biased opinion. It's kind of interesting though, right? Because then it's like, it is kind of a big, like, it's kind of thing, like, you have a map in the best of 7 map pool because when you play 7 maps, you'd like to have a little bit of variety. But then if one map just becomes like the same old, the go-to, it's like Eternal Empire. Eternal Empire was in every single best of 3 for like a year. It became very easy to get sick of, you know, Eternal Empire, even though that map actually had a lot of variety on it as well. So yeah. I was gonna go poking around. It's a Fusion Core opening. BCs have been popular on this map, and to be fair, I mean, we've seen Innovation play on this map, and he's been very mech and BC-centric anyway. And then on the other side, we've obviously had uThermal, I think, played on this map once before as well, maybe, and he also went BCs. But we have seen BCs be a popular way to go on Aqueducts. Maybe just the fact that there are only a few ways to kind of attack in early, so your best choice of harassing is to do something focused around battle cruisers. Definitely a possibility. As we move around, the Hellions get deflected, so they're not allowed into on the left. And this is the one thing about this map as well. You do get just 3 avenues of creep up, and it's very hard for the Terran to deny the 3 avenues of creep. That little flying bird is cool. Hello. Oh, you're gone. You can deny creep here, but it's a pretty sizable rotation here and here. Maybe it's not so bad, I guess, once the creep gets past, like, this corner. Then you can go from, like, here to here quite easily, actually. It's not as bad. But you definitely won't be pushing the creep back further than this. So it does kind of guarantee the Zerg a couple creep tumors in front of their base at least, which is always nice. Obviously gives them a good little bit of safety and a bit of reliability they can put into the map. Let's follow our battle cruiser. It's time to zip, zap, zoom, teleport over the other side of the map. We're going to mech it up here as uThermal. He's going to teleport on top of these queens. Elazer has no information. So teleport on top of the queens while they're not stacked up together. Maybe get some kills already. Kill 3 drones. The Lings are going to go jumping on top of the other Hellions. Just going to be seeing the pull back, the pull away. Another Baneling getting targeted down as well. Now be seeing Hellions pull back around the top. This command center of uThermal lifts off and it's going to move over to the side. It's going to take a position on the left here as well. It's just getting that set up too as our Spire builds from Elazer in the back of the main. So realizing it's a BC, he's already going to start setting up for Corruptors. And there's a Roach Roaring because he's recognizing it's mech. I don't know what's maybe tipped him off to this. Maybe he just knows uThermal likes BC into mech, but he is just saying, right, I think this is mech. I'm just going to do my mech-based defense, basically. So, setting up for that. As you see the Spire and the Roach Roaring coming through, the Lings and a couple of Banelings on the way in. A few Hellions again, just backing it up as those few Queens come forward. Creep spread coming down. Seven more Roaches still on the way in as our missile upgrade, our Roach speed, all of this continues. Just going to clean up a couple more creep tumors. So cleaning up a bit of creep as we're going to go around the left-hand side. And other than that, I mean, just going to be having our Hellions continuing through. I mean, obviously with this many Hellions, you can really control a lot of the Lings. Once Roaches are out, these continuous move forwards and move backs, they become a lot more difficult to execute. As our BCs are trying to be active here as well. They have to fly across the map because they need to teleport back home the moment that the Corruptors pop out. Will they have Yamato for the first Corruptors here? I think they will get to Yamato. 5 seconds until it's done. Corruptors not out yet. So yeah, they'll probably get Yamatos off. So already going to be able to trade off with a couple Corruptors, and that's always nice. The sooner you start trading out with those, the sooner the Zerg already has to deal with rebuilding them. Come the Corruptors, double Yamato, teleport out. It's almost scripted, really. At the end of the day, it's almost scripted, right? I mean, the VCs teleport back there, and the SCVs are going to pull on forward, prepare those battle cruisers up, and of course, this is just how this game continues. Do we go for a third BC? There is one up. It's just over here. I was just wondering because I didn't see it in production. So yeah, we have seen mech on this map already. That's kind of funny. We saw mech on this map between Innovation and Rogue. So again, to see it like a second time around, what happened with mech on this map is it really did come into that situation where a lot of the bases got taken, and then as the game developed, it really became a scrap around some of these bases. It was actually kind of interesting because Rogue played Roach Ravager Corruptor, and that's typically like a timing-focused attack. So you attack with that Roach Ravager Corruptor force, and then it didn't work. Innovation held, and then Rogue kept trying to make it work without ever teching up, and that becomes a bit awkward. That's not going to happen here. Elazer already has an infestation pit, which means he's already looking at Hive, Vipers, and other techs to kind of work with on the game as uThermal split map, or split pushing, not really doing much with these Hellions. Well, apart from losing them, I suppose. Kind of getting a little bit low HP as our Hellions escape up that right side. Factory's still cranking out more tanks, etc. 1-1 upgrades, the vehicle, weapons, and plating. Continuing through as well as our BSCs will all gather together. Couple Infest is going to be popping out again. Just going to be seeing that Hive of Elazer building in the main base. And everything just gathers up on the bottom right again. Just, I mean, right, this is 5 bases, by the way. So this is base 6 on the top. Just to kind of give you an idea of just exactly the sort of bases that we're working with here already and so on. These bases almost feel like they come out of nowhere on Aqueduct. It's like they just suddenly are up and running. As uThermal gets his own 4th base ready to go in a moment. CC will drop down, just going to be having off to the side. The BC's teleporting to Go back home. I imagine, where did they go? There we go. Go back home. So just teleporting out of trouble. Lone Banshee just rallies across the map. Not sure what the idea of the Banshee is, especially when you've already built BCs. You didn't go Banshee before the first BC, right? And go for a safety Banshee that I didn't notice? I don't think so. It was kind of a random Banshee just flying through right there. I guess they're still looking for openings as well, as we're going to be seeing Elazer saying, right, well, let's go to this Great Aspire. Continue to take bases. Going to take this base on the right-hand side, base on the upper left, as we saw before. That one got killed off, but attempt to re-establish base 6 now. I mean, that's his bases for this side of the map once he gets this base up as well. Uthtermal actually scans out over here. Maybe believed there was an army there or so. Maybe caught a sneak peek or something on a mini-map backing away, and he wanted to check if there's anything properly there. Because he is ready to push, so he wants to make sure he's not about to be attacked in, I suppose, on that base. A couple changelings are continuing through, but that's about it. We are killing changelings in the center of the map as well, as the Elazer at least also knows a little bit about where uThermal is going to be pushing from. Cyclone's going to start fighting. The Yamato's pop up, but, well, only one of these BCs will get to Yamato. Tell you what's kind of funny, though. That's a lot of Corruptors for BCs, that now that BCs aren't here, Corruptors won't have much to do. Cyclone's going to lock on. Cyclones don't even have mag field, just to kind of emphasize how much emphasis on this game has just been on Hellbat tanks. This is one big push from uThermal that is actually doing well. He picked off a bunch of the Ravagers that came in from the left side. You could argue they were probably a little bit misrallied and not meant to kind of run into this army so much. Hellbats are doing well over here, breaking into this base, and this bottom right base probably doesn't stand much of a chance either. This ain't a lot of anything around. Target fires Ravagers too, so if they do come forward to Bile, they are being taken down and they're not going to get a second chance or anything. As this hatchery will fall. And again, uThermal just keeping a scan out, keeping an eye on what Elazer might try to do next. As these few BCs are going to make their way down to the bottom. I mean, as soon as the Corruptors are here, right, these BCs just don't really do much. They don't have teleports yet, so that's kind of a problem as well. It's kind of weird for them to be here when they don't have teleports. They almost came back across the map too soon. uThermal's going to back away because Broodlords are here. And that's going to be a Elazer saving grace. That Great Aspire we talked about, yeah, suddenly really valuable as he does lose all the BCs as well, bar this one. He's cleaned out a lot of the Corruptors. But yeah, it's a real shame because if you have the BCs and the Corruptors are dead, then obviously these Broodlords don't really do much. Even one BC is currently chasing a Broodlord back as new Corruptors show up. It's time to just get out of there. Do we rebuild BCs? I don't really think so. I think you're just going to, I mean, Thor's on the way, and that's kind of going to be the goal for a bit. He's going to start Macfield as well, so might want to start adding in some Cyclones for later game harassment, / just as a way to lock onto Corruptors and also maybe trade out. Also a possibility. These Cyclones down here, they don't really do much with the lock on, right? Because they don't have Macfield. I'm going to kill this base anyways. uThermal has another push to the left. It is a tough map to use Broodlords on because there's a lot of, like, left to right action. Like, these bases are very drawn out. While they're all in kind of like a nice line, it is a long line. And that's where the Broodlords are very weak because they've got a lot of movement to be kind of, you know, going for. And that's where Broodlords just suck because they're very slow. So uThermal actually making this work pretty nicely in that regard. And now Elazer will get a defense up on this right side after losing this hatch. So you won't lose another base over here, but it's still got to be a question on your mind as to what do I do if uThermal keeps doing that, because, again, you can't really rely on the Broodlords. And these split pushes are then going to be very powerful for uThermal again and again and again. So we're just going to pull it back a little bit. Going to the upper left side. Got a group of tanks sieged up together here as well. So they are still waiting to maybe make a bit of a move and to strike once again just this base here. But that's where the Broods are currently camping out, and that's why uThermal will hence make a bit more of an attention kind of down the bottom right, sort of say, hey, you know, sure you don't want to bring the Broods over here? So yeah, uThermal, I like the attacks that he's using. I like the directions he's taking this in. More tanks and siege, and this army still moving through. Thane's taking a few shots, a few corrosive vials landing down, but not hitting much. I mean, we are at a stage where there's only one BC. Brood's actually pushing forward. I think they've realized that there's some tanks there, so yeah, I mean, this is kind of weird, right? Because like, it feels like uThermal won't have a lot against the Broods at home, but This push down here is not being stopped by anything either. Infestors are on the way up with Neural Parasite researching, but it's not ready yet. But split from the Biles again. The Thors staying out of trouble as best as they can. And now Elazer even being supply blocked. Yeah, Broodlords might be able to deny a base. Maybe even two, but even then I'm kind of wondering, because if there's no support for those Broods, there are Thors on the way. That'll probably make a difference. Nice Biles caught one of the Thors, and actually the Thor's getting taken down over here. So uThermal losing out on a lot of stuff. The CC lifts up pretty late, so we'll already be burning. Where's the uThermal's army at? He's got a lot of Thor. Oh my god, they're stuck in the main. Are they stuck in the main, or do they want to be in the main? I think they kind of want to be in the main. One Thor is stuck in the back. He's gonna... Oh! Ooh, okay, that wasn't... Well, it kind of feels like that wasn't meant to lift up all of those bases. But then the natural didn't lift, so I don't know if that was a misclick or intentional. Lifts up this factory as well. 19 SCVs going down. A Thor over here gets neuraled, and roaches are not gonna... Okay, there we go. Finally gonna fight it and kill that off. I think this is maybe getting a little bit out of hand for uThermal. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to keep this up and running. Now the Brood's back away. In the end, this attack on the bottom got cleaned up, and that was actually kind of impressive. It kind of got cleaned up out of nowhere. Oh my god, suddenly Blue Flame Hellions show up though, and 20 drones just get roasted, so Elazer's economy suddenly takes a bit of a beating just off 4 Hellions. No stack defense there. No units there, and the Hellions just get in for an easy set of drone kills. 3 of them even getting out alive to tell the tale of when they massacred a mineral line. Set it up in flames. Send it to the top. I think Bane crashes in on the right side as uThermal attempting to stretch out of this base here is not going to be finding himself being too successful. So Elazer just crashes in there, shuts down that base. A couple of Links and Banes make it to this planetary too, but that gets cleaned up no problem. He's got an orbital command in this base. uThermal starting to push through the center. Elazer's army mostly to the right. The Broods are still on the left. I do like how Elazer's utilized the Broods. I feel like he's made a pretty good job of them. You know, he realized that you can't just keep running left to right with them, so he kept them on the left side. He said, right, I'm just going to keep these here. And they've been very effective. The one time they moved, obviously, was basically to push forward. uThermal sees those infestors. This is a lot of Thors right now. Not sure how well the Banelings are going to do against this. The Thors, if they can just split up a little bit, minimize some of the splash damage, that might be nice. How many Thors on the map? 17? Neural Parasites are going to be huge here. The thing with Neurals is that Thors don't do a very good job of reaching, so there's not a good way for them to start shooting these infestors. The Banes will crash through on what is left. uThermal can just try and run these Thors out of range and hope that the Neurals come out. Crows of Baal's coming down. Now the Thors come back into uThermal's control. I mean, the Neurals really did the majority of this, but yeah, I mean, it was enough, right? I mean, uThermal loses a lot. GG is called, and Elazer will pick up the first game. Cool game on Aqueducts again. Actually turned, I'm not gonna lie, this... Bottom right side. Now blue Terran player is uThermal from Team Liquid. And the top left, our red Zerg is Elazer. Why would you ever make that many Thors versus only like 8 Broods? Yeah, I kind of agree. I think there's an overkill number of Thors, and that was kind of it. Maybe he didn't think the Infestors had Neuro, which they didn't for a while. Maybe that would have been part of the plan. How does one access and play these maps? If you make a custom game, just search TLMC15. And that will give you the list of all these maps. You can host up custom games on them. My Plat MMR rejects these claims that Thor's been bad. I don't think Thors are bad. I think there can be too many Thors, though, and in that case, too many Thors were absolutely a thing, right? Elazer up 1-0 in the upper left. Oh, I'm just going to stand up for a little bit. Let me steal Indy's observing for a few minutes of this game, guys. So you're saying I should get a wall of Widow Mines so bird infestors can't move past them? Yeah, that would be something. If only. Does that work? No. But if it did, it would be genius. So yeah, a little bit of getting up and running. Game number 2. Oh my god. Was I not in Indy's cam? Was I following the Overlord in Indy's cam? I'm so sorry, guys. Reaper just killed 3 drones. My goodness. That's a lot of damage. It's really something, isn't it? Well, feeling's gonna move around. We do have thing getting set up a little bit. Hellions, Reaper hanging out in the middle of the map. Just gonna see that roach drone coming in from Elazer pretty quick. He's gonna start building roaches. He wants to get aggressive here on Fountainhead. uThermal's playing double factory Blue Flame. I don't think you need that many roaches though just to shut down Blue Flame Hellions, right? I feel like that's a little bit unnecessary. Reaper and the Hellions around that left-hand side. Just gonna be seeing the Infernal Pre-Ignited coming up. Link speed is about to finish. And again, plenty of Lings on the way up. A couple of Ravages coming through. Roaches and Ravages are making their way down to the bottom right-hand side of the map. So we are on the move, guys. I think this is just a really good build to counter for Elazer. I mean, just a Roach all in is just... I mean, Blue Flame Hellions just don't do anything against Roach Ravager. That's the problem. So everything you've invested in will just not do much at all. Keep in some trouble. I mean, again, the Blue Flame Hellions will kind of show themselves. Can you create a defense here? He's going to come in from all sides with the Blue Flame Hellions as we look to shut this down. Roaches and Ravages. I mean, they're taking some damage. 9 workers dead. I mean, to be fair, the one thing there is there's so many Hellions that the Roach Ravager is actually staying busy fighting that instead of SCVs. That's kind of a bonus. That's kind of like a little bit of an advantage that we wouldn't have really expected, maybe. 61 drones against 38 SCVs right now. Move to the upper side of the map. All these Hellions thinking about a chance to move on in. I mean, the problem is with counterattacking here is that Elazer has immediate access to roaches, so now he's got an answer to these. He's got an answer to these Hellions basically already. Although they just slipped by into the main, so a few drones will sort of go down here. A couple Hellions in the third as well will get some damage as well. And uThermal making the Blue Flame Hellions happen right now. 18 workers, 19 workers going down. So much damage. Wow, 19 dead drones is kind of crazy. As missile upgrades and carapace upgrades coming through. Everything from uThermal just going to be settling down between the bases. More roaches continue out to that bottom right-hand side. Good damage from uThermal. It definitely brings him back into the game a little bit after what we saw previously. And he's going to play Bio behind this. So he's going to start having a Bio force against Roach Ravager. I kind of like that as well. It means that Elazer's not just going to have naturally the best go-to defense against the composition of uThermal. I definitely think that'll be a positive for uThermal here. So we'll see it moves around that bottom side still. It's just chilling over here. First stage bit. And a hydrogen on the way up, so we are starting to tech up a little bit back at home from Elazer too. And he's probably going to play roaches into the lurkers and stuff then, I imagine. I imagine that's going to be the way that we set this up. Two more Hellions around the top. Hatchery is building on the 12 o'clock. Gonna see a hive again on the way. All of these upgrades coming through. The couple extra infestors coming up as well. Again, with the 1-1 upgrade still on the way as well. Uh-oh, hang on a second. Here we go. These SCVs. Sorry, these drones are going to be in trouble again. Another round of Blue Flame Hellions just causing complete and utter mayhem in the mineral line of Elazer. The thing is, uThermal's had enough of these Hellions that throwing them away for work, because it's generally always going to turn out to be a pretty decent thing anyway, right? 11 drones down, a few Hellions continue down the bottom right. I mean, still just having a few alive to utilize in amongst all of this. Otherwise, we're on the way to Hive, Lurk Den, and some other good stuff. How many workers have died this game at this point? 30? 38 drones, and then 11 SCVs behind that as well. Those drones going down. Marines unloading out the front, so I'm just getting those coming through. We'll see, building up that Marine count a little bit. And look, Dan is about to be finished as well, so still bringing this in as our medevac's going to load up and go along the left-hand side. So they're going to move out along the left. And look, Dan is just about to finish. And with the seismic spines continuing through, gonna have those lurkers powered up very shortly, and then uThermal's gonna have something a little bit different to deal with. He's gonna start dropping around a bit. I wonder if uThermal can get a push before we get to that seismic spines and so on. Now, but pre-lurkers, I imagine not, because I imagine you'd want a 2-2 push, and that's just not gonna be here in time. So one of the deficits of having gone Blue Flame Hellions into all the rest of it is kind of the fact that it's a is just the kind of that exact idea, right? Like, upgrades will be delayed compared to maybe where they used to be. The medevac's still just setting up. 7 lurkers in production. As mentioned, just this drop has been very patient. It's a massive spore crawls on this side. We'll fly past 2 of them and actually get into the main, and Elazer maybe didn't realize that he's not moving anything. He's trying to deal with this army over here, where he does land some good fungals to begin with, so a couple fungal growths do come down at the start of this. Definitely a better start. Rest of our tanks sieging up. Bioforce is coming forward a little bit. A couple of these queens already coming through. I'm just going to go jumping on this army, but there's a lot of tanks. The drop in the main got cleaned up in the end. Again, it took a lot of the attention away. Don't think uThermal can push. I think he struggles to get anywhere meaningful because of, again, just a couple lurkers that can burrow up. It's difficult to get anywhere right now. tank still sieging, Marines pulling back, targeting up that hatchery at the moment. Stemming up this ramp, 2 lurkers go down. Still these Ravagers trying to move forward. A couple of Roaches going down as well. A tank gets hit by Biles. uThermal still making a bit of a push, and kind of a cool position to push right as well. Up this right side, using these rocks, and kind of making Elazer's life on this base up here kind of difficult. Definitely seems like something in the future. If you take this base, you might focus on getting rid of these rocks, because right now, uThermal has absolutely used those to his advantage to take a much better position and make the most of it. Credit to uThermal then, able to really get a lot done with that. Gonna see the Overlord taking a little bit more damage, getting chased away. Another Overlord dropping off as well, just still seeing now double Nidus on the way from Elazer. So Elazer actually gonna kind of ramp up the aggression here a little bit too. By going double Nidus, he's gonna be able to really try and get those Niduses in the main. It's something we've seen all the Korean Zergs try and do at different points in this ZVT matchup, and sometimes it's more popular, sometimes it's less popular. uThermal trading out or clearing out Marines so you can actually add on some extra ghosts. As we just kind of get into that stage of the game. There's still a tank army just kind of left at the top of the map as well, by the way. Still just holding this avenue of attack in general. It's just like out there chilling. No, not a care in the world. See a ton of CCs. uThermal really readying for the late game here. Fountainhead gonna give us a macro game. As the game goes on, the bases do get more spread out for Elazer, so his 5 base comes rather easily. His 6 and 7 base, that's definitely the problem. We've already seen that top right 6 base denied, and we see that left side 6 base denied. Especially the lurkers, I don't think we'll get on top of that very easily either. Elazer's starting to get to that stage where he's going to switch into Ling production. You can see the melee upgrades coming through, as now we have Niduses in the main, and on the low ground in fact, so actually using the Niduses in 2 plays, and uThermal's going to have twice the positions to clean up in the end. So having to move toward that just a little bit. 5 workers going down. Lurkers coming over, just going to be seeing these lurkers going to get burrowed up. Couple of tanks go down, another couple of tanks being picked away at as well. I mean, that army has been there for a while. uThermal's just kind of been waiting for that to get jumped on, hoping he could maybe trade somewhat decently. Now uThermal trying to expand forward for his 5th base is going to find himself in a bit of trouble as well. So that's definitely going to be problematic too. Because now, he had a lot of CCs building, but can you actually get one of those in position to mine? Absolutely going to be part of the question here. More Nidus is popping towards the main. Same place as before. uThermal's now got to defend this base. You're going to see the Lings wrapping around as the SCV is full. His base will drop again. The CCs to replace. Problem is, so much of uThermal's attention is taken into that main base. Thank you to the Nidus usage for that. And that's the power of the Niduses. You take the attention one way, and of course, as always, in Starcraft 2, you go one way and you strike at the other. That's kind of what we see the plan being here as well. uThermal trying to counter drop, but at this point, 36 SCVs lost. He's getting to the point where his economy is going to struggle to kind of stick in this. And still, again, denying Nidus left, right, and center back at home. Trying to deal with all of this. Additional lurkers come through. The Medivacs go boosting down the side. CC is going to go to the right where they're going to find themselves. A couple more of lurkers just already sat there waiting. CC might actually have to be careful, otherwise it might get just shot down. Oh my goodness, is it going to burn down? There's no healing, there's no repair on it. Bottom left-hand side as well. This drop is getting caught too, and uThermal is still... I mean, the thing is, Elazer has like 7k, 3.5k to work with at the moment, so he has just got money for days right now. And that's kind of the issue. How is uThermal ever going to work through that much of a bank of a laser. Well, you're kind of not meant to, guys. Kind of not meant to. Bioforce still coming through. I mean, just units all over the place on the bottom side of the map. So many of these SCVs dropping down. I mean, a few Lings trying to surround that planetary fortress, going to be picking away at those Lings. Okay, maybe that doesn't succeed. As long as a laser can still rebuild and make use of that bank, that's the one thing that could go wrong, right? If you end up in a position where you are trying to... if you end up in a position where suddenly you don't have the lava to rebuild, suddenly your bank doesn't matter. So that's maybe a something here. uThermal Zombie is kind of hoping for something like that, but here comes the force of a laser just to clean this up and to make sure hatcheries will not fall. Messy fight. Lurkers do not do well, but uThermal Zombie is slowly dropping. He drops a few snipes, chases Hydras away. Can he somehow just stop enough stuff from rebuilding, from gathering together, and from really getting set up? Hatcher on the left side goes down on the right. A couple of Lurkers are going to get rid of the planetary, so that will fall as well as we go up into the main base. Spawn pool goes down, Queen, drones, everything falling. Looks as though uThermal is gonna be finding himself a lot of damage. Like, genuinely, if he had any sort of additional defense at home, maybe he could be doing something from this point, because the laser's down to like 2 bases, but it's just not gonna be enough. That will be GG, and Elazer is gonna take the 2-0 lead in this best of 5. An exciting game on Fountainhead, this first playoff match. Alright guys, what's up? Game 3 of Elazer uThermal. Welcome everyone from the TvZ series. TvZ stream, sorry. Welcome guys, hope you're doing well. We are obviously casting the games that you guys just were watching just now as well. As we settle down into a third map as uThermal can't quite find a way to break Elazer. We go into the scavenger. uThermal up right, Elazer bottom left. As we get this one set up and rolling. Kind of a, I like the scavenger as well. I feel like this map's kind of shown itself to be a nice 1, 2, 3. Take your choice of which direction and go for 4th base kind of maps. I feel like it's worked pretty well in general. So, yeah, let's see what the scavenger brings us. Game 3, uThermal trying to survive here. Trying to keep himself going for one more map. Gonna reactor expand, so a little bit of a difference to break this up, or to start this off. Hey, what's up, Aurelian Viewer? Thank you so much for the Prime sub. Appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed. SCV Scout to start us off is a little bit of a peek around the map. Obviously the expansion now beginning, getting that ready to go. Just gonna see a second rack. So uThermal gonna play a little bit racks heavy at the very least. It's not too surprising. uThermal is very fond of 2-on-1s and anything that allows him to be on the map aggressive early while still kind of having a good economy. So stuff like this is not unheard of from him. Especially if this is just a fairly regular kind of 2-on-1 setup. And not really too surprising in the slightest, really. And setting up. Obviously, just a pretty nice slow start to our game. uThermal, obviously, last couple games, kind of, well, obviously, first mech and then like a mech opening, which switches back into bio, a bit of trickery and so on. What do we think he brings out on this map? Obviously, with the 2-1-1 and the bio. Is there going to be any trickery at all, right? Is there going to be anything else that's a little bit different, a little bit off from the norm? I don't really think so. I think it's actually going to be maybe the most standard game we've seen. The only option is, and this is what I was thinking about when I started this kind of thought process, was, is there a chance to see something like 2 base all-in? Like, does he add on the armory and go for like the 2-1-1 Hellbat attack or something like that, you know? That's one thing that I'm thinking about, maybe just to really mix it up. Am I completely dumb? When did I not see a 3 Rax? How did I not see the 3rd Rax build? Am I just completely dumb in general? I apologize, guys. Sorry, there's a 3rd Rax. So it's already a bit wonky, although this has been a build that's been used a little bit more recently. Okay, okay. I mean, that then kind of plays exactly into what I'm talking about. Something that isn't quite the standard. 3 Rax has been done by a couple of players lately. I know Bjorn was using it when we were casting a Limo League the other day a few times. We'll see what happens. A lot of the time, if you sell this as a 2-on-1, and then your opponent responds with, like, Queen Ling, they get overrun by the 3 Rax. So that's part of the power of it. We have seen this just be a thing lately. And as we go into the Baneling Nest, you have that Baneling Nest coming up, a few more Lings building too. As you get that up, I mean, the Banes are the real thing here. If you have Banelings, you're able to force these Marines to pull back, split away, and that's really where you find a lot of the value in this, you know, against this 3 Rax, and that's, you know, a big part towards basically just defending against this. So I feel like Elazer's responding to this correctly, as this scan is a decent start, at least, to seeing a little bit of what's going on. He's obviously getting rid of an Overlord here as well, and he's going to make his way down this ramp towards this base. Only 2 Banelings morphing, and where the heck are they? They're quite far back. uThermal hasn't even had to stim yet. The Queens are kind of chasing this as well, keeping track of everything. So they're just keeping track as best they can, for sure. As our other Marines start to pull back a little bit. So Lara is now going to start getting that underway. Yeah, I mean, uThermal obviously just didn't give up any of these units, so his numbers will continue to rise, continue to get stronger and stronger. We'll see if at any point he can actually make a bit of a fight out of this. I don't mind it. Like, I genuinely think that you've slowed Elazer down a fair bit for being a lair first. This is not a super quick lair first or anything, right? He's going to stim, try and back away from that a little bit, and this time finally forced into a stim. This is the big issue. Once you stim, there is no healing because you don't have medevacs yet, so you've kind of got to wait for those medevacs to come join us. Try and get these Marines healed back up a little bit. Bane speed coming up, +1 carapace coming through. We do go forward and again get a couple more creep teamers. Here come these medevacs. Gonna begin unloading. A tank gets set up. Siege will happen, and we prepare ourselves to go jump on this base, perhaps. Let's see how this attack goes. It's going to be seen again. The +1 attack upgrade still coming through. Additional Marines and medevacs continuing in. Melee upgrades all coming up. Ling's still coming in also. I mean, just really readying for like a large attack. uThermal, it's 2 bases, it's 5 racks. We can't really wait much longer before we pull the trigger on at least starting the fight. He has the +1 attack upgrade. He didn't take the +1 armor yet, and I wonder if he will, or if he's just going to focus on going for this with just the 1. Things come in, they're just going to take the Spore Crawler. A bit of damage being done. Continuing through. On the other side, there's going to be Lings and Banes kind of jumping on that tank. More Banelings crashing on into this. A lot of Marines going down as well. Lings and Banes continuing through. A few Queens in the back. The Bane's going to start rolling in towards these Marines. Love the tank on the high ground. Counterattack is kind of finally making progress through. The depots are going to start falling, but there's not going to be a lot of Lings left at the end of that. Now Marines get through, and uThermal's going to get on top of this base. 1 base down, another hatch will fall. Elazer up a lot of drones, but it's a matter of can he ever clean up this army. His carapace upgrade is now finished. He's on his way to his melee. Marines and medevacs continue through the top side. More of this army of uThermal making its way down this ramp. Remember, the more time that passes, the more time in theory should be going into, the more in favor they should be going toward Elazer. Got our Liberators building from uThermal. And this is going to be, again, pushing all the way down the south. First couple of tanks sieging up. Been already taking a bit of damage, and not going to be having these couple of drones already dropping down. Hatchery taking a lot of hits. 4 drones go down. Ling Bane continuing through. The tanks are doing a good job providing covering fire. Can Elazer break this down? So much of this is still the Banelings get on top of Marines, and kind of not really. I mean, he cleans out the tanks, which means there's no splash damage anymore, so that's obviously a strong start. But then the question is, again, like, can you keep this up as uThermal without splash damage? Is there just too many Marines for Elazer to handle? Still pushing in from this bottom side of the map, just trying to push on through a little bit. Queen's now going to have Liberators to deal with as well. Elazer's on his way to 2-2 upgrades, which if you get there, amazing. But can you get there? Another Ling counterattack, but is it just really going to run straight into this wall off? He is going to get by. He is going to start a surround. Still worried about these advancing Liberators as our Lings do wrap around this. The tank, but the SCV is pulling. The tank might just about make it out alive as well, so don't like the counterattack from Elazer. Feels like that's way too much army supply that falls. That's going to really be extremely problematic, because we do have the Marines still pressing on through, and these Queens will be taking a decent amount of damage here initially, so Marines going to start loading up into these medevacs as 2-2 upgrades are settling down, getting this up and running. Like I say, if you can get to 2-2, brilliant, but I just think it's too far gone at this point. The Lib support is just massive as well. Look how many units are just going to go down to Liberators here, basically for free to begin with. As the Queens come through. The Libs are just going to do so much, like... I mean, you're literally just baiting units to kind of sit in liberation range, and then Liberators are just, again, fantastically getting the job done at the moment, so doing a very good effort of this. I mean, uThermal had to fight hard for this 2-base setup, but he's absolutely making it work out. As Marines come through, Lings are going to come on in. Just going to be seeing the Marines having to lift back up. Liberators are firing away, getting so much done. Couple Spore Crawlers getting rolling. Can somehow Elazer clean this up? uThermal is absolutely just all over the defense of Elazer. Elazer's done a very good job of just not actually dying. Like, that's the only thing I can really say about this at the moment. Like, he's still in the game. Oh, yeah, it's kind of difficult to cast, guys. Like, this game's been kind of really running out of steam for a hot second. GG's, and uThermal is going to take game 3 and survive. Into game number 4, we will head for this. That's obviously a little bit of an issue as well, right? Like, then what other anti-air do you have? Well, you're not playing mutas, because if you're playing mutas against a 2-base all-in, you're probably doing it wrong anyway. It's definitely smart to add those Liberators in. It's kind of like, it plays around the entire idea of it, right? So, yeah, it makes a lot of sense as we settle ourselves down into map 4. Curious Minds, top left, our blue Terran player is uThermal. Bottom right, our red Zerg is Elazer. Still up 2-1 to 1 Elazer, see what he can try and do. Why does the creep look so shiny? Probably just the effect of the lighting on the map. Magic gas and pool coming through as SCV gonna go across to the bottom right side. Early scout getting us set up to begin with here. Let's use it to hatchery first, and that's basically most of the info you need. Especially as this is just a like a shorter rush map. This is one of the maps in the rush category. So this is kind of one of the maps you want to see a, make sure you don't die to anything silly. Make sure it's not a pool first right away. That sort of information can do very, very well for you and give you a lot of information. A Marine on a wander down the left-hand side. Looking for the Overlord. The Overlord is here, and the barracks is lifted to try and come and get it as well. That's why you already have one Marine out on the map a little bit, so that it can kind of chase more easily, and that is going to be a kill. Actually, supply blocks Elazer a pretty substantial amount, because as the supply block fades, he's still supply blocked, and he just now started 2 Overlords. So that supply block is extremely substantial. That's going to last Elazer a good few minutes here. Definitely a fairly serious part of the problem. Kind of back on the way up, and we're going to see the Hellbat on the way. So I'm going to be moving into our Hellbats at this point, get this ready to roll. A fusion core behind it too, so there's going to be Hellbats into a BC follow-up for when the Hellbats fade off a little bit. Let's continue around down to the bottom side. Just going to see a couple Lings already running into it and getting lasered. And Elazer's preparation is not a lot. 6 Queens and 2 Zerglings on the map as this starts, and that's why uThermal is chasing and getting a lot of damage on these Queens preemptively. The Queens have to pull back so far. I would not mind like one Hellion just going to fight that third base. Even if the 2 reinforcement Hellions go to the third base, because obviously that's a problem, right? A third is just completely barren. I mean, so is this natural. Elazer just did not have units ready at all for this. This is pretty much game over. Hellbat attack, plain and simple, on Curious Minds. Sadly, I think this might be the worst game we get on Curious Minds. I think we've had some really good games on this map already. This one obviously is going to be over before it really begins. As we put some damage onto that hatch, the drones continue to pull in of the Hellions. Off into Hellbats, and those drones will continue to take a bit of a beating. Queen's still taking some shots as well. I mean, there's just so many units, right? And the medevac still alive too is always a major issue. And I tell you what, the battlecruiser follow-up is going to be so deadly because the Queens are all dead. Elazer's spending so much time running around after Hellbats and Marines. There is no freaking way that the BC follow-up isn't going to end up doing a whole bunch of damage here. Queen gets picked off, another Queen in a bit of trouble. Elazer going to type GG, and uThermal evens up the series with a 2 base all in, a Hellbat attack. It's game 5, the playoffs are giving us some action. We get close spawn, tied Hunter. Better spawn for Elazer, at least. I mean, close spawns are always going to favor Terran here, I think, but at least it's not the other way around. If Elazer spawned where uThermal spawned, he doesn't have an easy third base without expanding toward the Terran, and obviously that ain't ideal. That ain't ideal at all. Elazer's going to start pool into a gas anyway, so he's actually going to get kind of aggressive himself. I wonder if he's going to try and use the 4-player aspect of the map to his advantage by doing something a little bit cheesy and a little bit crazy, maybe. And we see now our Rotron dropping down immediately. He is absolutely playing this to abuse the fact that this is a 4-player map, huh? That's, I mean, again, it's a 1 in 2. It's like a 1 in 2 chance if you, well, a 1 in 3 chance really that you get scouted straight away. So, yeah. Reactor will start on the racks. Oh, uThermal. He's SCV scouting north first as well, isn't he? He's gonna have no idea. He's gonna have no idea. The reactor gives me a bit of hope, maybe, because then you're gonna be on marine production, but I mean, it's better than producing Hellions blindly, I suppose, but that's like the only good part for this, I think, for uThermal, and even that's not great without actually knowing what's going on, right? Let's see if he's going to have absolutely no clue. Ravager's on the way already, so away we go. Again, Elazer just really making use of the map. He knows where uThermal is. He scouts the bottom right. So he gets the good scout to begin with as well. So his Roach Ravager can go the right way. uThermal is still not going to see what's happening. I mean, there's no defense, guys. Like, uThermal's just going to die. Usually this is where we're like, oh, uThermal, you were greedy, you didn't scout. Well, this is where uThermal did scout, you just went the wrong way. And again, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you 4-player maps. I mean, like, it's just a thing, right? Like, was this fun to watch? Like, it's same with the Elazer games earlier against Max Packs. You know, is it one of those things where, is it fun to watch? The RNG having such a big impact? Not really. uThermal is going to pull SCVs to push this back. I mean, investment from Elazer, this is one base. uThermal basically giving up SCVs to get the bunker high ground so you can try and hold on one base. That's the current idea. That's going to be the current aim. Files go down. Bunker takes some damage. I'm just going to be seeing, I mean, more Roach Ravager being made. Elazer will 100% try and bust this as he's, again, just on the one base at the moment. So, Elazer will absolutely try and bust this one down. Goes the files on the bunker. Now CC is actually going to come forward as a bit of a spotter. Actually an insta-kill on a Ravager there with the first lock-on, so decent idea to that. There's a few more files coming down. Lock-on still there. Ravager still taking a bit of extra damage. People will fall. uThermal's going to hold this in the end. Cyclone, a nice little lock on as well. Gonna hit that Ravager. He got the Marine count up and running, and uThermal's gonna win it just because of the defense. Oh, he did the right, I mean, credit to uThermal, he played it right. I mean, he kind of, you know, Elazer gambled on the map, he had the right setup. I think the reactor first helps because you don't waste money on a Reaper, then you've got a reactor on the barracks already for Marine production. So you give up some SCVs, knowing how all in this is from Elazer because it's one base. You give up some SCVs, and what the SCVs give you is the time to get the bunker up, and then you can just build more units because Elazer has to bust because he's only on one base, so expanding is extremely difficult. So yeah, I can kind of just get behind uThermal's defense here. I think it was well thought out. It was what he needed in the